We've had a flooding threat for the last couple of years in this country, and even not so long ago in Victoria, as recently as last week. The big concern going forward, in particular for farmers though, is drought because of the La Nina that is taking effect. El Nino, I should say, the dry one. Joining me live is Vice President of the National Farmers Federation, David Jochinke. Thanks for your time. It's a very green background you've got there. Has the big wet helped farmers? You've got presumably a lot of places with soil that's nice and moist and dams can be built up as much as possible. How much has that let people build up a bit of a buffer against droughts?
Yeah, g'day, Tom. Hello, viewers. The reality is we've had a very wet period through the La Nina that has occurred, and now switching to our Nino means that we're going to have a drier phase, especially on the east coast of Australia. Now, a lot of our soils are able to capture and store moisture for a period of time, and at the moment, even in our circumstance on our farm, we're drawing down on that moisture as we speak. So what we're fearing is that if the continuation of the current patterns occurs, we're going to see a very long and dry summer, which means that to finish the crops that aren't quite ready, harvest ready yet, will be a tougher finish. So that might pinch the grain. But more so, it means that we're going to have very dry conditions, making it more susceptible to fires across the nation.
Fires, yeah, that'd be a big concern. When you talk about that build-up of moisture, I guess, and whatever you can get in dams as well, is it the case that for the short term and over this summer, farmers will be okay? It's if the drought continues or worsens beyond that, that's when it'll hit for a lot of farmers?
There's definitely areas that are going to experience a drought harvest this year, especially in northern Queensland and in northwestern Western Australia, even in central Western Australia and some parts of even South Australia itself. They're definitely going to feel what the dry conditions mean, and that's going to be a reduction in both their crops and also their pastures for their livestock. But you are quite right, Tom. It's going to be the next season that's going to hurt us more than this season across the board. And because of the wet weather we had last year, we definitely came into this season with a very good profile, a profile of moisture that's set ourselves up for a reasonable cropping program, reasonable program for our pastures. And without that starting next season, it does put us into the question mark of how much inputs do we prepare? How do we set our structure, our farms? Do we start preparing and enacting our drought policy, our drought preparedness plan now, or do we wait just a little bit longer and see how we should manage it going forward? So it is a critical time in the farming program. Farmers are making active decisions now, and we don't want to be in the circumstance where people get caught out. We've learned a lot over the past decades,
Right.
and it's about now watching and really waiting for this next period.
We've had so much talk here in Canberra about the drought fund that was brought in 2019. Is it making any difference as we look at the next possible drought?
Well, drought funds, doesn't matter who they are and what they are, will never make it rain. And rain's definitely the part about drought that's always the difficult part. But when we talk about drought, it's actually a cash flow situation. Farmers aren't able to produce, therefore they have to pull down on reserves or put it in a strategy where they mothball their operations. And the good farmers are putting something away for that to occur. Now, the drought fund itself is only $200 million a year, and we say that in the bigger picture of an industry that last year hit $95 billion. So it's not a lot of money compared to what we can produce in good, favourable conditions. But what it does do is help give information to farmers to say, what are some tools that you should look at as far as the weather goes, but as far as your soil moisture goes? How can you put your business in the best possible scenario to prepare yourself for drought? And most farms, if they are able to put a little bit away, can survive one, if not two seasons of
All right.
really severe conditions.
Well, let's hope for the best. We've got to leave it there. David Jochinke, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tom.